were surprised to find themselves heading the timesheets, while Damso was an uncharacteristic fourth, but happy. Van Dijk produced a good drive for seventh, while Bem was equally impressive in ninth in his first outing in the Mitsubishi. Controversially missing from the leaderboard was Damso Jr., who was excluded from 8th for using the wrong size tyres in the car.
We've had it at the front for quite a while.
Yeah, essentially there were only two stages, two dirt stages, the rest was this Mickey Mouse Town stuff. But after 2 stages, 31 seconds, it's got the makings of a hell of a die, so I think everybody's going to be flat out. Serge will want to move up. Enzo's leading, which is probably not a nice place for him to be because he's got nobody's times, but they got his. And like I said, everybody's going to go flat out. Some nice stages today, fast. And the water splash, famous water splash is there, so that's cost a few cars in the past. I think it's going to be a very exciting day, and I wouldn't bet against Damso anyway.
The rally moved to the Greater Caledon area for day 2, being first on the road. Keane had no option but to go flat out from the word go. He was still satisfied with the handling of the Golf following the changes made since the last event, and felt that he could push the car fast enough to win. The wheat fields are notorious for the yumps that run through the farmyards. Some are quite mild, while others are quite severe. The Golf hit one particularly hard, launching it into the air and coming down nose first. As the rear end landed, it broke the left rear wheel clean off, pitching the car sideways and almost into a roll. Unfortunately, the impact shut down our camera, but Keane did well to keep it on the road. He managed to drive the car out of the stage and to service on 3 wheels. Burger was pushing hard, using all of the road and more in places. The new ProDrive Subaru had given him a new confidence behind the wheel, and he was highlighting once again that he's going to be a serious threat to the Class A8 cars during the course of the season. However, Keane's incident affected Burger's stage as the dust thrown up by the ailing car delayed the Subaru by 30 seconds, dropping him to 3rd behind Habich and Damso. Despite the local constabulary wanting to pull the car off the road, Keane managed to get it back to service. It was a race against time for the service crew to repair the rear suspension in the allotted time. This is where the degree of panic and the crew's professionalism really counts, and every second counts in this type of situation.
A lot of unnecessary bad luck so early. What happened?
Yeah, sorry, we came through like trees on the right-hand side and a fence on the left, and we hit a jump, which put the car right in the air. And as it turned in the air and landed on the left front wheel, which is all okay. But when the rear wheel came down, the wheel snapped off, which put the car totally sideways and facing into the trees. So we thought we were going to go over, but luckily the car straightened. I put power on to straighten, and well, that was like 10 k's from the end of the stage. So I had to drive on 3 wheels, and the wheel just snapped off clean, the whole wheel, the brake, everything. So we're fixing that quickly, and hopefully we can continue. We lost about 1.5 minutes, which is a lot.
Unfortunately for Keane, the crew missed the cut-off time by just 3 minutes. They were time barred, and their event was over. With 2 retirements out of 2 in the 8-round series, their title hopes were, to all intents and purposes, over. No bad luck for Damso, though, who took the stage win by just 2 seconds from Habich. Into stage 7, and Burger was now first on the road, his tactic of falling behind Keane having backfired. First it cost him time in the Golf's dust, and now he was sweeping the road for the others anyway. He admitted to struggling with reading the road surfaces and determining the pace, and lost another 29 seconds to Damso over the 37.65 kilometer stage. He was still in 3rd place, but was now almost a minute behind the leader. Habich was in no mood to surrender his narrow 1-second lead after stage 6 to Damso, and was pushing as hard as ever. He was now 2nd on the road, not the ideal position he had strived to achieve at close of play the day before. Damso knew that it was time to make his move for the lead of the rally. He pulled out all the stops in vintage style to win the stage by 15 seconds from Habich. He was now 14 seconds ahead of the Golf. Lawrence was driving his heart out, but was simply not on the pace of the front runners, complaining of a lack of power from the Run-X. He will be working hard before the next event to get the car on the pace, as he lost over a minute to Damso on this stage. Nonetheless, he was in close company with Rueda, running a few seconds ahead of the Mitsubishi. Rueda was also complaining of a lack of power from his engine, the Mitsubishi well off the pace of Burger Subaru. Yet another engine rebuild will hopefully solve the problem. Fekken's player has long had an aversion to water, so with no pressure following Damso Jr.'s exclusion, he took it cautiously through the splash. Even so, the car picked up moisture in the electronics and suffered a temporary misfire. Bem also took the water splash carefully, not wanting to incur any unnecessary damage to the expensive imported bodywork in his first event. Nevertheless, he had picked up his pace and set the 4th fastest stage time. Nicholas Ryan and Brian Carryhill were on the fringes of the top 10 in their Bosel Subaru Impreza. They put in some sterling drives last season, but were finding it difficult to repeat these performances this year, adopting a more cautious approach. With Versace's early retirement, Wilken was under no pressure to push hard. He was, however, under orders to finish the event to get back on even terms with Versace on the points log. Along the way, he was enjoying a good battle with Trott in the Class A6 Corolla. With a healthy class lead, Trott was under no pressure to extend himself. Following his opening event disaster, he was also only concerned with getting points in the bag. Cape Townians Wessel Venter and Patrick Johnson were leading Class N2 in their Shell Helix Toyota Corolla. They held a healthy lead over the next placed car and could afford to ease off the pace a little. Gary Swimmer and Peter Davison were the only Class N1 survivors in their Gary's Workshop Volkswagen City Golf. However, they were almost caught by Zulu in the Class A5 City Golf, the car bearing the scars of a harmless roll in the Pick n Pay parking lot the day before. The two Golfs graphically demonstrated the two different approaches drivers could take to a water splash. Stage 8 was a fast 20-kilometer test. Burger was back up to speed and set the second fastest time. He was reading the roads more accurately now and picked up his pace accordingly. Habich was still giving it everything he had in an attempt to close the 14-second gap Damso held before the stage. He is always spectacular to watch, but when pushing hard, it is especially enjoyable for rally fans, and of course for you folks at home. Unfortunately for the Golf pair, as they negotiated this farmyard left-handed hairpin, the right rear wheel broke right off. Habich was not sure what the problem was initially, but knew that his chances of winning the rally had probably ended right there, and he was just 3.5 kilometers into the stage. Luckily, he could drive it out of the stage and get it to service. He was pushing as hard as he dared, the car fishtailing its way through the stage. He lost just 1.5 minutes to the stage winner, a spectacular performance on only 3 wheels. Damso was still going hard, but he would lose about 30 seconds in Habicht's dust as he closed in on the stricken Goff and had to settle for the 10th fastest stage time. It allowed Burger to close to within just 14 seconds. Lawrence is the most successful of a family of rallyists. His older brother Eugene contests regularly in regional events and makes the odd appearance in nationals. Sister Janine Labuschagne has been a regular navigator on the national circuit, scooping last year's Class N2 title with Chris de Wit. Back on board with a Centurion-based businessman who was enjoying his best stage of the event, matching Burger's time to finish equal second overall, just 2 seconds off the winning time set by the Class A7 Volkswagen player of Fecken and Lufkovic. It was a superb effort by the latter pair and their second stage win of the event after they won the final car park stage of day 1-2. Van Dijk was still going very well in the ex-Burger car from last season, getting some very competitive stage times and running comfortably in 7th place. This was a man Cyril van der Merwe tipped for stardom a few years ago, but a lack of finance stalled his career for a while. Italian Tony Ball and Alec Harris were having their usual solid outing in their Bulwer Park service station Volkswagen player, but it came to a sudden end with gearbox failure. The car ran in Class A7 last season, but with new restrictions for A7 cars coming into effect from this year, Ball decided to upgrade the engine to A8 specifications. Mally Saville and Dion Redlinghuis were also in trouble with a puncture to the left front tyre of their Subaru Impreza.
As we started this stage, I could feel that the car was weaving on the road as though one drive shaft was broken, but it wasn't. And then as we came around the corner behind us, there was just this crack, and that was the end of. That's probably the input shaft or the gearbox is broken, or the diff or something. But anyway, we're not going anywhere except home.
The Volkswagen crew had to make another emergency suspension swap when Habicht got back to the service area. This time, however, they completed the task well within time, and Habicht could continue, albeit in 4th, some 1 minute and 20 seconds behind leader Damso. Special Stage 9 was a 14.2